Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody. Again, this is David Bortolan, the Chief Revenue Officer here from IntelliBuddies. I'll be one of the speakers today, and I wanted to introduce also an individual that is a colleague of mine and a digital transformation leader in the market. He's got 15 years of experience, very well versed not only on our product, but in the market as a whole. So I'd like to welcome Vikash Marodia as well. He'll be taking over to get into the technical aspects, or shall we say, a deeper dive into our product and what's included, as well as what it can do, and then show a demo around our product. I wanted to mention before we get going here a couple things. One is that what's important is this is groundbreaking as far as we're considered or concerned. The feedback we have received on our RDA platform, which we'll be discussing in depth today over the next 45 minutes, is incredible. So it's something that is not out there, that we have and is ready to go. The product is in a box, ready to go. It doesn't need to be built. And the results that we've had with customers have been incredible, as well as the feedback from analysts and other individuals who are looking into considering pushing out automation, digital automation, specifically within their organizations. So with that, I'd like to go into the evolution of automation and talk a little bit about the process and what we're addressing. So as you can see, automation has numerous capabilities. It started in the 70s with ERP, where it was configurable but not customizable. It's subsequently has continued to evolve, as we're all well aware. Secondly, we have business process automation, customizable, rule-based, and API-driven. And that was in the 80s or so. Then came in the early 2010s. RPA made its kind of preview, and it came out. And for the digital workforce, it was mostly used. Primarily, it's still being used to automate individual, repetitive, manual, mundane tasks. So focus on RPA that's out there even today seems to be around RPA tasks, the tasks involved at the bottom of the ladder, not necessarily the processes, and for sure not the workflows. We then move on into the mid 2010s, where we have a prescriptive and deductive analytics and decision engines, where AI and ML play a large part. What you see on the top of this slide is the amount of effort, or at least custom development, that's needed to integrate these, to make all of these cohesive, to play nice, if you will. But most importantly, to somehow cobble these together and achieve what digital transformation is able to do. And that's a very difficult, time-consuming, and expensive task that we are able to bypass, given our new solution here at IntelliBuddies. Next slide is around what the experience is, what we have learned during our journey, if you will. We found that organizations of all sizes, SMBs, enterprise, face particular challenges when it comes to digital transformation. And basically, staying in line with what our vision is here at IntelliBuddies for equal opportunities for digital transformation for all, regardless of size, is something that we do for all. We decided to address these challenges basically with all of our IntelliBuddies solutions. The challenges organizations face, apart from huge CapEx, are heavy runtime, hence heavy infrastructure cost, and no dedicated IT support. Specific solutions. So what we'll talk about, and we'll go through these a little bit more in depth, but these are the challenges that everybody's trying to really solve for. They need, as we went back to the different components, they need everything, but everything is delivered in silos by different vendors who all point to each other as issues. They don't talk to each other out of the box. The next slide is something that I just mentioned around the bottoms-up approach. So this is essentially what RPA has been doing, where systems are procured for a targeted use and then are integrated together or tried to be cobbled together to get the intended result of digital transformation, with obviously varying levels of success and amounts that have to be invested to achieve it. An array of such disparate systems also is the reason organizations have to maintain specialized IT teams. They pay higher for infrastructure, as we know, and spend more money to integrate these systems for the true digital transformation to actually happen. If it ever does, it's an ongoing investment, depending on the amount of systems, depending on the silos, depending on what an organization, and in that organization, as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't matter what size. Everybody has their own processes and different silos. So that's what they're trying to solve for. The unified platform that we're going to talk about today, the Rapid Digital Automation platform that is here from IntelliBuddies, is a unified platform, and it presents a natural top-down approach, which creates a homogeneous system comprising of components that give you true digital transformation. And it reduces the total cost of ownership significantly. Again, for the thing that I keep underscoring here, which is the services side, the integration points, the getting them to talk to each other so that the value is there for true digital automation. And then our simplified licensing makes ownership even easier. The lower barrier to entry, having an actual product out of the box, ready to go, and then customize that to your specific needs, your tasks, your processes, your workflows, all of which are already being dictated by the hierarchy within your organization. So we announced rapid digital automation, and that's what we're here to talk about today, with basically robotic process automation, AI or artificial intelligence, and business process automation, all being part of our RDA solution. So there isn't any finger pointing of whose issue it is. There's no cost involved in deep integration, depending on what you look for or what you've purchased already, components trying to achieve digital automation. All of this is under one umbrella, and thus enabling the achievement of digital transformation to be, extremely easy comparatively to the rest of the market segment, which is exactly what we're hearing. The next slide that I want to talk about is a little bit about the RDA and what's inclusive and kind of what this process looks like, which Vikash will also get into with his demo. But to include this RPA, BPA, and AI, we find that every business has processes which consist of humans, systems, and data that you see here. Whenever we talk of human involvement, workflows play a major role, as well as helping with collaboration. Systems, on the other hand, can be obviously your devices, right? Web apps, APIs, etc., your desktop. Data can be autonomous and dependent. And then humans, they have various tasks associated, telling them what needs to be done. Tasks themselves can be rule-based, where RPA can play a major role in task automation, or they can be knowledge-driven, where obviously your core expertise of users comes into play. AI and ML can help users to making fast and accurate decisions using the intelligence that is gathered during the process. And we all know that the data is collected during various stages of the process, which is then being utilized for analytics. So it addresses, well, I'll show you here with the RDA platform in the next slide. Here is what an organization looks like siloed. it is organizations, they have various cross-function and IT silos that currently talk to each other, typically through via email, Excel, etc. Obviously, this completely lacks the transparency, efficiency, and transformation that's trying to be achieved. Can't do it because you have to bring into services, IT services, to try and integrate these to talk to each other effectively. Whereas with this RDA solution of ours, we now are able to achieve digital transformation cross-functionally. RDA ensures efficiency in business processes, whereas BPM brings transparency and discipline to that workflow or process. Overall, true digital transformation can be achieved with one unified platform, something that nobody has been able to do thus far. So I just wanted to bring this up because this is where everything that we do really hits the road, right? The rubber hits the road. We have had incredible feedback from our customers in comparison to what they've used before. Looking into this, had no idea this could all be achieved. And then additionally, we have had analyst input in that this doesn't even fit into the RPA space anymore because of all of the inclusion of BPA, AI/ML, and RPA. So we are very excited to talk to individuals and move this along. There hasn't been to date anything that can't be addressed. People seem to be extremely happy, and so we're very proud of being able to show this with you and share it with you today. With that, I would like to now turn over to Vikash, who is, again, I've talked to you a little bit on the introduction. He's our resident expert and an absolute digital automation leader in the space, which will take our product and show you our product from here. Vikash?
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for the introduction. So once again, welcome, folks, and I'm really excited to demonstrate you in the incredible product IntelliBuddies, which can help organizations in their digital transformation journey. So let's get started. And just wanted to remind you, in case you have any queries, any questions, please feel free to drop that question into the Q&A section that you can see in the top right. So feel free to drop your questions. Towards the end of the meeting, we will, address your questions, and we will see on if we will be able to, bring your questions on board and answer it right here, or else our experts will get back to you with an answer, and we'll get in touch with you if, in case the time doesn't permit us to, go through all the questions. So with that, let us get started with the IB RDA platform. Let us see what it is built of, what are the different components that comprises IntelliBuddies, and we will also see a product demonstration in a few minutes from now. What you're seeing in the screen right now is a bird's eye view of how IntelliBuddy looks like. What are the different building blocks for IntelliBuddies? In the center, what you see is the control room. This is the place from where the entire automation is managed. This is the place where you can manage your users, your roles, and your different assets that you have created. You can also manage all your processes that you have created as a part of automation. You can manage how these processes are triggered. You can manage your different bots or the different buddies that are there configured in your environment. You can manage all your BPM applications right from here. So this is the place where the centralized control room is there. Now, what you see in the right are the additional components that comes with the product. The first component is the process designer. This process designer is a drag and drop wizard-driven designer which can be utilized by users to define their process. This is the place where users will come and basically configure on what their process should look like. And to help our users in order to build this process at an ease, this process designer comes inbuilt with lots of pre-configured activities that can be reused in different processes. You just need to select the right activities as per your process requirement. What you see Other component is the OCR trainer. This component is not used in all the applications, but in case your process or application requirement is that you want to fetch digital data from the scan copies of documents or from any kind of images, and you want to train the buddies that this is the place from where you want to fetch the details, you want to provide that training, then you can use this OCR trainer component to provide that training to our buddies so that buddy understand that what it needs to fetch from the given document. We also have a inbuilt form builder, which is eForms component that comes with the product. Typically, when you are building a application, you will need a user interface. For example, if you want to submit some request or the approver has to take some approval decision, you will need a user interface. And in order to facilitate our end users, we don't want them to go and write too much of custom coding or a heavy IT requirement. In order to avoid all those things, we are giving the user interface builder, which is eForms, where you can drag and drop and build your forms as well that can be associated with your applications. The product also comes with integration with cognitive services. It also comes with some inbuilt cognitive services that can be used by the buddies, and all the integrations with the third party cognitive services like with Azure Cognitive Service, Google Cognitive Service. It comes with the product which can be utilized as a part of the process building. The end result when you build your processes is either it will be a bot driven process or a buddy driven process, which will be taken up by our buddies. We have a different type of buddies. We have smart buddies and assistant buddies. Depending on your process requirement, the right buddy can execute the job. Typically, smart buddies are used when you want to any for most of the background work where you don't need any human interference. It can sit in the server and take care of your background jobs. And assistant buddies are one which sits on end user's laptop, and it can work very closely with the user and get the job done. And applications are the ones where typically if you are creating any workflow kind of processes, that is where the applications comes into picture, and our applications are capable of communicating with the buddies, and similarly buddies are capable of communicating with the applications at the proper junctures. Let's go to the next screen and see how we are ensuring that our users are means getting the ease of use with the product, so that we don't want users to write too much of code. So even with the not so technical users can go and define their processes. So in order to support that low code, no code, what we have done is that most of our activities, most of the components that we are giving with the product is comes with a drag and drop wizards. It comes with a reusable activities. Currently, we have 450 plus activities, and these activities are growing day by day. Our process builder is again drag and drop, and you can just go and configure them. Form builders are drag and drop, and we are already giving integrations with quite a few third parties where we believe that as a part of your process building, you will be utilizing these services. But in case if you are from IT background and you want to write your own activities, or you want to extend the platform with your own components so that you can reuse them in your futuristic processes, you are allowed to do that. You can create your own pluggable extensions and then bind them with IntelliBuddies at an ease. What you're seeing in the screen are some of the use cases that again segmented into different domains. Like from the automotive, these are some of the use cases which our customers have utilized in. For example, in automotive, we have a vehicle shipment process which is automated, dealer performance, marketing and sales analysis, part stock management, dealer data management, etc. And in case of finance, accounts receivable process, expense management, tax management, capex approvals kind of processes. Talking about insurance domains like claim registration processes or integration with legacy applications or regulatory compliance kind of applications. HR, a lot of our customers are utilizing IntelliBuddies a lot in their automating their HR processes, like starting from the profile sourcing to employee onboarding kind of processes. This in the screen that you're seeing some of our existing customers and partners. I'm sure some of the names are very familiar, like the Hyundai that you're seeing over here is the Hyundai Motor Company Australia. Then we have South Carolina Coastal Insurance and many more. So we can, if you have any queries about any specific thing, just please feel free to drop the questions in the Q&A sections. Now, with that, let us see the product demonstration. Let us see one use case, and we will also, after this use case, we will also go and go through some of the components that I spoke about IntelliBuddies and see how they work over here. So the first use case that we are going to go through is the expense management. Typically, a traditional travel expense process that if the organization is not utilizing any sort of automation, then this is a typical process that it looks like. When a business user travels and comes back with he will have a lot of bills and receipts that needs to be reimbursed. So typically what the user does is that he takes all the bills and receipts and he basically scans them and then prepares an expense report out of it. Generally, these expense reports are in Excel format. Then this expense report is either emailed or a hard copy is submitted to the department head who reviews and approves it. It goes to HR for their reviews. HR can go through and ensure that all the company policies are met. For example, the maybe general managers and above may be eligible for business class travels and they are eligible for 5-star stays, whereas below them maybe they are just eligible for economy travel and all those things. So based on the policy, HR ensures that the bills are proper. Once HR gives the signature, it goes to the finance department where finance reviews it, and in certain cases, if the amount exceeds certain threshold value, it goes for the CFO approval as well. Once everything is satisfied, once everything is approved, typically, then the finance department will take those bills and upload them into the ERP system. It can be QuickBooks, it can be SAP, it can be Oracle, ERP, depending on which financial tools the organization is using. And once the bills are uploaded there, then they are marked for the payment and the reimbursement process complete. This is a typical traditional process without automation. Now take a look at how with IntelliBuddies, the same process looks like, and you will see that how it has made a overall process more transparent, more disciplined, more consistent over here. So the same process, here, the whoever is a claimant goes once he's back from the business trip, he scans and keeps all the receipts and bills under one folder. But instead of manually preparing the expense report, because sometimes this bills may be in hundreds or more than 100 receipts, instead of going through each one of them one by one and preparing that on its own, the business user can take help of Buddy. What Buddy does is Buddy will ask that, hey, please tell us where your receipts are. Once you provide that receipts, it will go through each of them using a AI ML cognitive service and extract the digital information from those expense bills. Once it extracts that, it will go and prepare the expense report and trigger a BPM workflow. It will assign the first task to the requester itself so that he can review that the extraction was proper, all the bills have been uploaded successfully by the Buddy. Once he is satisfied, he submits it for the approval from the department head, and then the various approval goes through. And the best part is that the BPM engine, the IntelliBuddies BPM engine provides all the basic infrastructure inbuilt. Like for example, whenever the one of the approvers approves and it goes to the next one, sending them the task assignment emails and sending the reminder emails, taking care of escalations, taking care of delegations, all those things is handled by the IntelliBuddies BPM engine. And once all the approvals are done, you can see that it can go and trigger other Buddy, which will take care of automatically uploading all these bills into the ERP system and then basically mark those bills for the payment. So you can see that how simplified and how connected system is built using IntelliBuddies. We will see this demonstration now. So in order to show this demonstration, I have already collected some of the receipts which includes a flight bill, a hotel bill, and some of the taxi bills. And I've kept it under one of the folder. Imagine that a trip was made to Mumbai, India, and these are the bills that are associated with those travel. It has been kept under one folder over here. Now, we have also configured certain users or actors who will be acting in as different users in this particular process. You can see that James Smith is the one who is acting as the business user who has traveled and will be submitting the bills. And then we have Peter Johnson as department head, Robert as HR manager, Charles Henry as finance, and Tom as CFO. So these are the different actors that are participating in this particular process for today's demonstration. But again, I'm not going to go through the entire approval workflow over here. So, and all of these actors, I have configured their emails under one box. So you can see I have a James box, I have Peter Johnson's inbox, I have Robert's inbox, and similarly, I have inbox for everyone. So to get started, what we'll do is this user, James Smith, will basically go and trigger a buddy and tell that please process this. So we trigger the buddy. And since he buddy wants to know that who is the employee who is submitting the bill. So I'll just take out his email ID as well. I'll copy this and I'll give that email ID to buddy. Once I do that, now you can see Buddy is asking, please select a folder in the next window that contains the receipt to be processed. So it is asking that give me the folder where all your receipts are. So I need to select this folder over there. So I'll click on OK, and I will go and through the same folder, C demo. So I'll just go through the same folder structure, apps, expense app, and then expense management and Mumbai. I'm selecting the same folder and I'll hit OK. Once I do that, you will notice that this buddy, what it is doing in the background is it is going through each and every receipt that is present over here. Once it goes through them, it will communicate with the background AI ML service, and then for each of them, it will extract the information. Like if it is a flight bill, then it will extract the details, like for example, the invoice number, the amount, the tax amount, etc. Similarly, for each and every bill, it will extract the details, categorize them, extract the categories and the descriptions, and then basically prepare the expense report and trigger the approval workflow. So let the buddy do its job. Once buddy completes its job, it will notify the requester that, hey, for your request, the bills have been processed, and this is the ID for the approval workflow. So that, and also buddy will send out an email. Basically, as you can see over here, the screen popped up that the approval process with the requisition ID 53 has been initiated for the expense. Now, as a requester, he will also receive an email. You just see that James Smith received an email. So I'll just go through this inbox. You can see that a new email has arrived that a request has been raised for this, and please click here to take an action. Now, James Smith can go, and we have configured one expense management application. So I'll just log into that. I'm logged in as a different user. It has taken my last session. Let me log in as Peter James Smith. All right, I'm logged in into the expense portal using GemSmith. What you're seeing in the screen is that in the dashboard, first of all, like all the requests that has come in for the expenses, the draft modes, the in progresses that are completed, rejected, and if there were any expenses that were errored out, every information can be figured out from here. He also has a task list, which is provided by the IntelliBuddy's BPM engine. And you can see that the requisition 53 is the one that is assigned to James Smith just now. He can click on this task action and he can see that all the receipts that were there, the 5 receipts that are mentioned over here. If I go back to the folder, you can see there were the 5 receipts for each one of them. What Buddy has done is it has made an entry over here. Buddy has also uploaded the corresponding PDF so that as an approver, when the finance or when the HR is reviewing, they can click on this and ensure that all the information is correct. So as a requester, he can see that okay, all the amount looks good. It has buddy has done a good job. Okay, it missed out the description for the hotel. Maybe he can correct that if required. Once he has done this, he can also provide some comments that hey, for example, please approve my request. He can submit this for approval. So let's submit this. Once it is submitted, now the next user you can came in for the department head, which is Peter Johnson, that hey, Peter Johnson, a task has been assigned to you for an approval. Please click here to take an action. Now we will go to the same application and log in as Peter Johnson. So I'll log out from here. I will log in as Peter Johnson. Now, in real world, you don't have to do this login and log off because each user will have its own login in their machine. So, this is just because I'm demonstrating from the same machine I'm doing this. Johnson, and I'll type in his password. Peter Johnson gets in. Once again, in his task list, you will see that a task is waiting for him. And by clicking on this, he can take an action. He can also see the process flow that comes in, like where the process is right now. It is waiting for requester review has been done. It is waiting for the department head approval. He can view that from here. And then he can also take up an action approval decision from here by going inside. The best part is he can also see all the comment history that comes in, at what time it was given, what was the action taken by the previous user as a part of this workflow. He can see that in the audit logs, and then he can take the approval decision by providing his comments and either accepting or rejecting. If he rejects, it will shoot out an email to the requester that your request was rejected, or if he wants to approve, he can just take up the approval decision by giving okay, all good. And he takes the approval decision. Once it approves, it goes to the HR. HR will receive the email notification again, and the same way the task is assigned. Similarly, it will go for finance approval. You can see HR received the email. And once the entire workflow is done, it will be triggering the other buddy, which will take care of uploading these bills into the QuickBooks in this case. So I'm not going to go through the entire workflow, keeping the time frame in mind. Let us see some of the other components of IntelliBuddy so that we can see maximum things in the limited time. So I'll open IntelliBuddy's control room by clicking on this. What you're seeing in the screen right now is our control room. This is the place from where you can manage your entire automation. You can see how many processes are there which are submitted or which are there in your environment. You can see how many jobs has been executed by different set of buddies like smart buddies and assistant buddies. You can also see that processes that are shared with you or by others. You can see those details. If there are any tasks pending, you can see those details over here. What are the different set of triggers that are configured? You can see those. You can also see some of the KPIs which can help you in determining the bottlenecks, and then can take up the can basically give you an opportunity to go and eliminate those bottlenecks and make your process more and more efficient as and when the process is used. It also gives you a full-fledged audit history of whatever the buddies are doing. You can go inside them and you can see that, for example, this ERP buddy, you can go inside and can see the full-fledged audit history of how the things are working. And if there are any exceptions, you can go and monitor them and take up the corrective actions from there. You can also see various processes and their different versions. You can manage your process versions right from here. You can also manage your triggers, like once a user has defined a process, which buddy is going to execute that, when it is going to execute that process, you can come and configure from here. There are different trigger mechanisms that comes with the product. There can be a time-based trigger, like for example, you want certain process to trigger automatically on certain days, like let's say every Friday 10 a.m. you want to trigger a reporting process or something. You can select the time trigger. You can select a schedule type as a weekly and select on which day. Let's imagine on Friday at 10 a.m. you just provide that information over here, and then you select your process and you're done. With this trigger, every Friday at the selected time, the selected process will trigger automatically by the buddy. Similarly, we have other set of triggers as well. We have file system based trigger, where once you drop a file, automatically the buddy will pick up, and then basically it will start the process. We have email based trigger, task based triggers, and for your assistant buddy there are additional triggers, like you can have a keyboard shortcuts, you can have database triggers where some other application is making an entry and you want that to trigger your processes, you can do that as well. So this is from the control room side of it. Let me also open our designer and let us just show you that how the how end user builds the process and how the designer looks like as well. So I'll just minimize everything and I will open my designer. Let the designer load. Once it loads, I will just go and create a new dummy process. Let's say demo. I'll just give a unique number because I have been developing a lot of processes in this. I'll give a demo and I'll say create. All right. So it is preparing my process. It is doing all the background job of ensuring that everything that is needed by the process is configured. Now, what you're seeing in the screen is our process designer. And in this process designer, in the left-hand side, what you're seeing are the different set of activities that comes with the product. So, and what you're seeing in the right-hand side is the place where you configure your activities. And in the middle canvas, what you're seeing is where you actually build your process by dragging and dropping this set of activities. So let us see some of the activities that comes inbuilt with the product. So for example, the control flow activities where in case in your process you want to manage the controls, like if you want to have a if else kind of condition as a part of your process, you will just drag and drop this if else activities and configure them. And similarly, we have for switch, we have for each, while, etc. Then there are a lot of other categories as well, as you can see, like for example, Active Directory. You want to, as a part of your process, you want to communicate with Active Directory. You want to go and add a user in Active Directory. You want to go and update a user, or you want to go and remove a user. You can, everything can be done using this activities that comes over here for Active Directory. Now, take an example. For example, you're building an employee onboarding kind of process. And at one stage, after all the formalities are done, you want to assign a task to your IT where, the buddies are automatically generating the unique usernames and the other details and fills out a form for the IT infrastructure guy who takes a look, approves it, and then on behalf of IT, Buddy communicates with the Active Directory, creates the user, and updates the user with the details that it has created. For those kind of processes, you may be using this Active Directory activities as well. Then we have activities to communicate with AWS, whether you want to communicate with the EC2 instances or you want to utilize the AWS cognitive services, you can go through this of one of these activities. Similarly, with Azure, if you want to go and utilize their form services or cognitive services, you can use the predefined activities that comes over here. Database activities typically are used when you want to communicate with databases. You want to go and retrieve any information from database or go and write something, then you will be utilizing these activities and so forth. So you can see that there are a bunch of activities that comes with the product, and then basically you just have to merely drag, drop, and configure them. So once you drag and drop any activity, for example, if I say this modify user over here, once you drag and drop any activity, a typical properties get associated, which will open up here, and you can go and fill those activities, and you're done with it. Then, based on your process requirements, you can simply drag and drop and build your entire process. Once you have built, you publish it from here to the control room, and I already, demonstrated that from the control room how you can manage, how you can assign it to your robots or the bots, and then basically you can also set the triggers and which will take care of automatically initiating the processes. All right, so I'll just maximize this once again. So let us quickly go through some of the benefits that we have seen from our or we have heard from our customers who have adapted IntelliBuddies or overall automation, as you can see. So first is the accuracy. Definitely, IntelliBuddy uses advanced pre-coded technologies which minimizes the margins of error. And the best part is that the bots from IntelliBuddies, like they are software, bots. You can utilize them 24/7. They will not get tired, so they will do the job repeatedly without getting tired. They will go and do the exact thing the way you want the bot to behave, so the chances of error is minimized. It increases the productivity exponentially, because when you use buddies, it will help your employees in eliminating the repetitive mundane tasks so that they can focus and concentrate on their core activities. And with the IB workflow in the background, all the cross-functional IT silos can communicate with each other in a more consistent and a transparent way. So IntelliBuddies bring consistency in your processes, and it ensures that all the compliances, because Buddies doesn't share data outside your environment. So, it ensures that all the compliances are met, and it proceeds from there. All right, so with that, we will go into the Q&A section. So I will just stop sharing because I need to go through some of the questions that you might be asking, and I'll see how many questions I can take up here. The rest, as I told, if there are any unanswered questions, our experts will get in touch with you shortly. So let me stop sharing and then go through some of the questions. All right, I can see some of the questions flowing in. Please feel free to add as many questions as you want. Meanwhile, I'll just go through some of the questions. So let me pick up some of the questions over here. Okay, so we are seeing one of the questions that is being asked here is, what are the different deployment options available with IB? That's a good question. So IntelliBuddy comes in different flavors. It can be, there are various deployment strategies that can be utilized. If you want to deploy IntelliBuddies on-prem completely under your firewall, that is allowed. You can have the IB installation completely in your network, in your server, or you can also deploy IntelliBuddies into private clouds provided by almost all the data centers. So you can go and deploy there as well. Depending on which version of IntelliBuddies, or whether you are utilizing the RPA Lite or you are utilizing the RDA Professional or the Enterprise, the configuration differs. You may need server in some cases. In some cases, you may not need server at all. Like if you're going with the starter pack of Intelli apps, in that case, you don't even need a server. It's just a client machine is good enough for your deployment. I hope that answers your question. But if you have any related question to this, feel free to update the Q&A section. Okay, we have one more question here. What is the typical learning curve for user to get up to speed with the product? Okay, well, this completely depends on users as well. From IntelliBuddy side, we have a training module that is available that users can opt for, where there can be, we provide two types of training. We provide basic training and advanced training. Basic trainings are typically 2 to 3 days, and advanced trainings are typically 5 days. Under the basic training program, we ensures that the end user gets to know about each and every component of IntelliBuddies in details. We also ensure that a lot of hands-on exercises are carried with the end user as a part of the training, so that by end of the training, the user can go and utilize IntelliBuddies and build their own processes on their own. And under the advanced training, we cover the advanced concepts like integration with the cognitive services, utilization of OCR trainer, and then in case if you want to extend the platform and write your own activities, then how to do all those things. So all those portion comes under our advanced training, and that is taken up over there. Okay. Can my custom application trigger a IP process? Example, I'm already using one HRMS system. Can I trigger a buddy from my IB from my HRMS system. Okay, I think there was something in that question which I'm unable to, but I believe your question is that if you already have some of the applications in your environment that you are utilizing, can that communicate with IB buddies? I believe this is what your question is. Yes, the answer is yes, you can very much do that. IntelliBuddy comes with a standard API kit as a part of the offering. You can, during the training, you will come to know about, especially during the advanced training, you will come to know about each and every APIs that are exposed by IntelliBuddies. As a matter of fact, all these API details are also listed there in our documentation site, which is docs.intellibuddies.com, which is a good place or a good resource where you can go and get started. You can see all the APIs that are available from your existing system. You can go and call those APIs and communicate with IntelliBuddies, whether you want to go and call a buddy to go and start a process or get certain status. Everything is allowed. You can go and do that using our standard API kits. I still got 2 more minutes, so I'll just see if I can cover one or two more questions. Meanwhile, please feel free to drop the questions. I will be available after for 5 minutes. I'll be available even after the entire session is gone, so that I can go through all the questions. And as I told you, all the unanswered questions will ensure that our experts gets back to you via an email. Okay, we have one more question which talks about how is the IntelliBuddy product license? Is it based on users or bots or other factors? That's a good question as well. As I told in the beginning, like IntelliBuddy has different licensing packages. So depending on the version that you're taking, whether it is an enterprise or whether it is the light version or the starter pack, the licensing differs. But our license are not based on users and CPUs or anything like that. Our licenses are packaged based. So depending on which package you're going, you will be getting the number of smart buddies and the assistant buddies, and you will have certain restriction on number of applications, the BPM applications that you can build, or the number of RPA process you can build, depending on the package that you are selecting. But as a end user, if you want to extend that, you want to buy additional components, even that is allowed. And that during the one-on-one discussion, we can walk you through the different packages that are there, and we can help you in understanding on, depending on the requirement, how those packages can be extended. All right, I'll take one last question. What are the future feature plans for the product in terms of roadmap? Okay, well, this is just the beginning. IntelliBuddies is there since last 3 years. A lot of our customers have already utilized IntelliBuddies in doing a lot of wonderful job. It has been, helping them in getting the required ROI. But as I told you, this is just the beginning. We have quite a few plans to take this product to the next level. Artificial intelligence is in the top of our head, where we want to ensure that this entire platform is driven by AI. We want to ensure that as an end user, how easily they can utilize AI and get their processes built, how easily as an end user can utilize AI to ensure that they find the bottlenecks and auto optimization of the processes. So a lot of factors are there in our mind considering AI, and not only AI, but from the other feature perspective, from the other integration perspective, there are quite a few things that that are there in our product roadmap. But if you're looking for anything specific, please feel free to message us, and we will directly see if that is there in our near future, or it may be already existing with the product. Okay, with that, I think I'll hand over to Dave. Dave, you want to give the closing comments?
Yes, thank you, Vikas. So well done. I want to thank everybody for joining us today and staying through the presentation. We hope that something is triggered within you to engage with us, where we can answer more questions, as Vikas mentioned earlier. Please feel free to submit those, reach out to us. We can have a Zoom meeting and talk about how this might apply to what your organization may may need, or is part of your digital automation strategy, where we can discuss that as well. We look forward to engaging with you, and we will be following up this webinar with another one in the not too distant future. So look for those as well. Again, thank you for everyone's time, and look forward to speaking to you again. Bye-bye.